Good day to you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Mr. Pandaria Beta. You know what? Actually, fuck it, I can't do that. It's too lame. So, this episode is going to be about Tier 2 in the new talent trees, and it's basically the movement tier. It contains Body and Soul, which is like a 60% movement speed increase. It contains Path of the Devout, which is a 25% movement speed increase whenever you've got Levitate up, or 30 seconds after. And it contains Phantasm, which is like a 3-second freedom slash ranged immunity. So first up we've got Body and Soul, which essentially is if you shield somebody, they'll get 60% movement speed increase. It also works on life grip. So there's a couple of pros and cons of this choice. First up, pros. It works on other players, so if you shield someone else, if you grip someone else, it will work on them, which is great for if someone needs to kite or if your rogue needs to catch someone up or something like that. And it's great for getting fears yourself or kiting melee, bearing in mind that you don't get slowed. Which leads me on to the cons. It's not actually a freedom effect, so you can get slowed in it, and the shield freedom from your set bonus only works up to 100%. So it makes it basically useless. It also doesn't stack with other speed effects. So if you're using Inner Whirl and you're getting, an extra 10% speed from that, it won't stack with that. It will still be 60%, so you'll be running at 160% speed. And finally, it is in fact dispellable. So if you are getting trained and you manage to get a kite off, the enemy can dispel it. So the next talent is Path of the Devout, and what it does is it increases your movement speed by 25% when you levitate yourself. And I think there's a couple of issues with this ability, but first of all, the pros. The main thing being that when you lose levitate, it stays on for 30 seconds, which is pretty important since levitate comes off whenever you get hit. So this 30-second buff pretty much allows you to have it up the entire game. Having said that, it's still not a freedom. So you can be slowed, and when you do shield yourself, it is still capped at 100% movement speed. So you won't actually be getting your bonus 25%. It is dispellable. You can dispel it when levitate's up, you can dispel it after levitate comes off. And if you want to keep it up, you are going to have to be using globals on levitate, which is not always ideal. You can't actually jump while levitating, as most of you probably already know, which kind of means we're going to have to need some kind of aura cancel thing to get rid of levitate, since it's a bit of a pain in the arse, which is again is not really ideal. And finally, it doesn't actually stack with other speed effects, so I mean if you've got Inner Whirl already, adding 10%, you're actually only getting 15% speed from this, and I don't think that's worth a talent. I just want to take a quick moment to point out something I don't think a lot of people realise, and that is why I don't get speed on boots. I go for the hit over the speed. That's because the speed doesn't actually stack within a whirl, and this is also partly to do with the shield freedom thing, and I'll explain why. The only time you're going to be using Inner Fire is when you think you're going to be tanking a melee, and the only time you're going to be kiting a melee with speed is when you have shield freedom up, because otherwise you're going to be slowed. But shield freedom's capped at 100%, so that extra 8% from boot enchant actually isn't going to do anything anyway. And when you're in Inner Whirl, you get the extra 10% from that, which doesn't stack, so it's completely pointless to get speed on boots. Okay, now the last talent in this tier is Phantasm, which I've actually covered in a previous video, but I will go over again for the sake of comparing to the other two talents in this tier. What it does is modify your fade ability so that when you use it, it makes you untargetable by ranged for 3 seconds, and it gives you freedom for 3 seconds. And this is pretty clutch. It basically gives you so many opportunities to be creative in how you use the spell, when you use it, what you decide to use it for. I mean, you can use it as an aura mastery, you can use it as an escape tool, you can use it to avoid CC, or when you're getting nuked by casters. I really like this talent, and I think there should be more things in the game like this. I think it would vastly improve how entertaining the game is to watch and play. things that aren't necessarily super powerful but can be used in a skillful way and have a short duration and a short cooldown. This way they're not spammable and they need to be used at the correct time. The other pros of this ability are the fact that the freedom of it isn't capped at 100% and it also breaks roots, which makes it significantly better than the shield freedom, which I'm kind of expecting them to remove just because it would be silly to have that and this, and I don't think the shield freedom really complements the other talents at all. It can also be glyphed to 21 seconds cooldown and is not dispellable, which makes it superior to the other two talents in this tier. Onto the cons, it actually has a short duration of 3 seconds. If you can consider this a con, I think if it was any more, then it would become overpowered. I like 3 seconds, I think it's enough. The only issue with that is that you can only get a 1.5 to 2 second cast off due to the 1.5 second global. Overall, I feel like this is a pretty easy pick, and I would definitely go with Phantasm, just because it's clearly the superior talent in this tier. Even if it's just the freedom, I think it would still be superior, just due to the nature of the other two talents and what they're lacking right now. Though I do expect these talents in this tier to go under a lot of change, because right now I don't think they're really that thought out.